Just so we are clear, a new expensive wedge in 2022 doesn't guarantee you more backspin. Now, of course, you can buy friction with an expensive wedge, but that doesn't necessarily always translate into added backspin, more control, and there's quite a few more things that you should look at inside your own game before relying on spending money to solve the problem. Today's test subject is this very nice looking Glide Forge 3.0 wedge, which I too often see with a lot of wedges that are 1 year old, 2 year old, maybe half a year old, but had a bit of wear, and this one has had a bit of wear. So a lot of us would deem this needing to be upgraded or advertise that you need more grooves, more sharpness to get the latest and greatest spin from our wedge game. All too often I see this typical player having a wedge like this, going and getting another wedge set just to get that added spin, but didn't actually fix their technique side with this one in the first place. And I'm going to show you why there's plenty of life still left in this bad boy. Now, there's two ways we can add spin to your wedge shots. One is definitely a lot more easier than the other, and it's friction. We buy brand new wedges for those new grooves, sharp faces, clean everything, and time again, my biggest bugbear is teaching lessons, and I see £450 worth of wedges at the bottom end of their bag with every single groove filled with mud. And to prove a point, I'm going to hit same ball, same wedge, same club head speed, same attack angle, but one's going to have dirt in the grooves with water added, and one is going to be a clean groove just like this one here. Decent strike, 90 miles an hour worth of club head speed, 7,900 worth of backspin. I will take the tuft off the face as that will be slightly unfair. I don't think some people are just that bad. Add a bit of water to the face to get rid of any excess dirt, and let's hit the exact same shot. I'm even going to swing this faster because club head speed does make a difference when it comes to adding spin, but it's not the be all end all, and we'll get on into that in a minute. Actually struck that probably better than the first one. So even though shot number 2 was faster, ball speed was higher, it's even more of an efficient shot, we saw less spin because there was water, there was dirt, there was grass on the face, so friction plays a part. New faces do play a part, I'm not saying that. But to be honest, in some of your cases, you shouldn't even worry about part 1. Clean faces, new faces, sharper grooves until you've solved part 2. And that's actually getting the proper strike and understanding exactly where backspin is coming from. So let me show you. When we start this game, the wedge is the easiest club in the bag to hit. As you get better at this game, it is the hardest club in the bag to master. There is a lot of variables, and there's two types of players I see that struggle with their wedges. Number one, the player that can hit all their irons fine, but as soon as they get to a 52, a 54, a 58 degree wedge, that ball essentially just goes up in the air and nowhere with very little spin and control. Alternatively, you could have the player that puts it massively back in their stance, hands forward, has this very low wedge shot, but again, not that much spin and almost bounces off the back of the green. Spin loft is our friend here, and this is why wedges are a very difficult club to master. Too much loft, and the ball essentially just glides across that club face. No compression, no impact, very little friction. Alternatively, we drive the hands forward, but then you're just de-lofting your 54, 58 degree wedge to an 8 iron or 7 iron, and equally, you're not going to get that spin loft that we require. And what do I mean when I talk about spin loft? That is the angle that the club comes into the golf ball and your angle attack. So we are looking for the perfect amount of club going down into the golf ball whilst not driving the hands forward and having enough loft at impact to still compress the ball, to still get that ball speed, to still get that distance. And I'm going to hit 2 shots now, both with similar club head speeds, one with a very high lofted club face, i.e. the ball's going to go nowhere with very little spin, and then one with the correct amount of hands forwards. So the ball gets compressed, we get a decent amount of distance, and also the spin to stop the ball on the green. Okay, similar test to the first one. The only difference, clean club face this time, but we're going to change technique. Shot number one, scooping, adding loft, trying to help the ball up into the air. And the majority of players that I see this happen to is they're fine with their de-lofted irons, but when it comes to their Vokey or their TaylorMade or their Callaway, when it's got a true loft behind it, that ball glances the face, basically glides up it, no compression, very little transfer to that club face in terms of ball speed. And let's see how high and little spin we get out of this one. Well, that is high. I caught it well though, to be fair. 86 miles an hour in terms of club head speed, 3,600 in terms of spin. Carry distance, just over 80. Let me give it a clean. So, sorry, 92 carry with the last. I'm going to swing it slower. I'm going to try and go under 85. But I'm going to try and get the right compression, right strike to give us more distance, lower flight, but then more spin. So we're getting that control element, especially if there's a lot of wind about today. Well, I've definitely caught it and I'd be happy with that on the course. Slightly lower, 85 miles an hour. Ball speed, 90. Carry, 109. Almost 8,000 in terms of backspin. Oh no, sorry, 9,700 in terms of backspin. I thought I caught it well. Now, absolutely everyone's wedge game can be different. There's no real right way of doing it, apart from you want to make sure that you're scoring to the best of your ability within the 100 yards of the flag. What I do to try and get that spin rate, as I've just said, too much loft, ball's going to glide over the face. Too much launch, i.e. the wind can push it left, right, and also you're not getting as much distance for the amount of club head speed that you're producing. Alternatively, you put it back of the stance, hands forward. This can work in some cases. However, you catch that leading edge into the ground, it's going to die pretty much in front of you. And I don't have to tell those players how painful it is to see the ball 20 yards in front of yourself after a full swing. What I would like to see is the ball very much in the middle of the stance, potentially a bit of weight on the front hand side to help get into the turf. So our bottom of our swing arc is very much in line with the ball, if not a touch ahead of it. Again, with our hands slightly ahead of the ball to give that kind of de-lofted sensation. Again, we don't want to go too much or we don't want to have our hands behind it, but I'm very much a big fan of setting up at address just how you would like to see yourself at impact. This is where timing comes in, however. Full swing, we've got lots of momentum to get our weight going towards the target. Pitch shots, half shots, we're looking for that kind of rhythm of going forward towards the target, transitioning our weight from the right to the left and very much getting the motion of that club going towards the target. We want a very shallow swing. We don't want something up here and coming down into the golf ball, which is potentially those players that do keep this club face open as they don't want to hoik it left. So getting that sensation of chip shot to then lengthening into the pitch shot is pretty much where we want to be in terms of getting the correct dynamic loft as well as that slight angular attack into the ground. Now, until you've got those fundamentals down, please do not go and buy a brand new wedge, as you're still going to have the exact same problems with any other wedge that you have in your hands, as the ball just isn't going to react how you want it to. If you like this video and you want to know how to spin loft or get more out of your old driver, I highly suggest checking this video up here on the right hand side. See you guys later.